I have bad news, everybody. This is not a drill. John Doyle has discovered our filthy, filthy goals. John Doyle knows what we're up to. He knows what we want to have happen. I don't know who spilled the beans. Many Bothan spies died to get him that information, okay? Lord knows, I killed like 10 myself, okay? But unfortunately, he has it. He has the info. He knows that liberals want your kids seeing people have sex in public. He knows our entire plan. Our plan to have sex in public repeatedly in front of everybody. He figured it out.
Months ago, in the
Good night, Hondo.
that is San Francisco, a woman came across a common phenomenon in the increasingly decaying urban centers of our country. There used to be places that drew people from all across the world. Like, these were the crown jewels of our country in terms of man's capability on full display. But now you just see a bunch of people shooting up heroin, defecating on the sidewalks, and of course having sex on the sidewalks. So anyways, this woman comes across this and
no one was ever doing that in the 1950s, John. 100%. Yeah, people weren't doing drugs on the street. People weren't fucking on the street. Definitely not. That only happens today. People back then were all dignified family men, John.
she takes a photograph of it so that she can tweet about it and basically ask people, hey, is this something that we're just supposed to be okay with? Is this what we're doing now? This is cool, this is fine. And almost every reply to this tweet was from left-wing people basically saying, why don't you mind your own business? Let people enjoy things. You, sir, are an asshole. And that's how you know.
Wait, but those were all funny.
Know that you're not actually speaking
we have
to a
not.
real person.
This literally came out like 2 weeks ago. We haven't talked about John Doyle in like a month and a half.
Or rather a lemming. Like, there's a certain speech pattern and an insult pattern that these people always fall into because the volume of their brains are filled by reddit.com. Like the whole, you sir, that thing, you're an asshole. Stop being mean to people. And a lot of you might even echo the sentiment of those replies, which a lot of them were like, well, you know, why'd you feel compelled to take a picture of it? That's weird. You shouldn't have done that. I get that. Think of the implication of that, though. Obviously, in public, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy, especially on a sidewalk in downtown San Francisco. So to say, hey, don't take a photo, that's weird, kind of acknowledges that what's happening in the photo is weird and probably shouldn't be happening there in the first place, right? And we can't really discuss the problem if no one's even calling attention.
I mean, look, people have sex in public. I don't know if you guys didn't know this, but it's actually a pretty common fetish to have sex in public places, like say public restrooms, parks, beaches, etc. It turns out that that's something that people like doing a lot. And in cities, it's harder to do that. Now, my personal story of seeing somebody have sex in public was walking home at night when I was in college and seeing two lovebirds going at it on the hood of a car about a block away. And you know what? Good for them. Okay? Good for them. They were having a good time, judging from the sounds they were making, okay?
Attention to it, right? But regardless of how silly this might be, this is actually indicative of some trends in society that we should discuss, especially considering how the replies to this were all people basically defending the people in the photo. So we will go over the results of the moral decline and the slippery slope in this country, how the left has totally inverted reality, whether it's even possible to reconcile with these people, and the truth about sexual liberation and its effects on culture throughout history. So do stay tuned.
Oh, I see. I mean, I think you're really sweet. And I like you a lot too. But I just can't be with somebody who's involved in science. I hope you understand. And
What
you
is
probably will
this?
pretty easily since you're so smart. Plus, I value our friendship too much to risk it over some silly relationship. Plus, you always buy me coffee, and I can't lose that, right? Anyways, my boyfriend is here.
Oh. That's right. This is how he sells his products. This is how this is the trailer for his products. I forgot. I was just confused about what was happening. Yeah, he's just hawking his shirt that says "Science is gay." Is he trying to appeal to doomers? Yeah, to like disaffected conservative doomers. I may never uncringe. Well, get ready to cringe even harder, because we still haven't gotten through the traditional intro of a John Doyle video.
John Doyle in. Heck off, commie.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heck Off Commie. It's a big day today. It's Friday.
God, his show would be genius if he was like self-aware and making fun of conservatism, because basically everything in his show makes fun of itself.
And the new official Heck Off Commie merch is now.
Oh yeah, and to be clear, John Doyle does think being gay is bad and degenerate, so yes, his shirt is using gay as a slur. Nova 4, these are for you, okay? Oh, mommy. Daddy. Daddy. All right, there we go.
Now live on the website, heckoffcommie.com. Go there now. Stock up for the fall, stock up for the holidays. It's in limited supply. Get it while you can. We've got some super great designs. We're super excited about it. We're going to be representing in public all the boys,
Man,
all the
baby
7%ers,
Monday.
all the George Floyd conservatives. I'm excited. We haven't done merch since the 1-year anniversary. Now it's the 3-year anniversary, and we're doing great things. So be sure to check that out. But anyways, the first thing that I want to address
see ya, Isaac
is the most
Inanimate.
common reply to this from people who were being smug and thought that this was actually like an own or something, which was well, you're just as bad because you stopped to take a picture of it. You're the one who's weird, and study this, because this is actually a perfect example of something that a stupid person would think a smart person would say, because obviously it's not as weird, but it is a little bit weird. And the context is really what matters, because if someone were taking pictures of people having sex in their house, that's one thing. But this is in public, and it shouldn't be happening in public. Call me a Puritan, call me old-fashioned, call me a square. Hey, it's hip to be square. I just don't think that the sidewalks should be breeding grounds for crackheads. That's just my opinion. We let you have the collapse of the family structure.
Well, wait, this is... you don't know that they're crackheads. They might just be like two people who like doing it in public. But also, like, yeah, they probably could have picked a better spot to do it in public. Just saying.
We let you have hookup culture. We let you have birth control. We let you have abortion. We let you have non-monogamy.
We let you have birth control.
We let you have gay marriage or whatever. We let you have transgenderism. But you know what? No, this is too far. This is where my personal line of decency is crossed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you. I'm sure John Doyle has a lot of decent things to say about trans people.
Do you see how there's no appeasing these people, how they will never stop? And again, the reason this is important is because the replies to this weren't even making excuses for this behavior. Some of them were.
Wait, no, no one's saying it should be like good. It's like good to like have sex in front of people who aren't consenting to it. No one's gonna argue that, John. You're arguing against like this weird straw man you've built for yourself.
But they were mostly just people basically saying that people should be able to do what they want and have fun, and you should look the other way. And when they say, no, you're the weird one for taking a picture, that's like the seething Wojak holding the mask up, the seething mask to the other Wojak. It's a total projection. It's a total cope. If you had a glass and you filled it with like how weird this was, for that to be going on in public, you couldn't honestly say that the glass would be filled with the same amount more when the picture was taken, because they're not equally weird. Like, one requires the other to happen first. And maybe you'll say, well, this was an isolated incident. It's not like you see it everywhere you go. Yeah, maybe not exactly like this, but we see the pride parades and we see the calls for children to be included in the displays of weird fetishes to teach them about LGBT culture.
Wait. First of all, wait.
Isolated incident. It's not like you see it everywhere you go. Like this. Parades, and we see the...
These are probably this kid's dads. Like, what? Does he think that, like, the gays stole the child?
The calls for children to be included.
Also, like, yeah, they're just wearing pup gear. It's fine. They're not, like, fucking each other.
In the displays of weird fetishes to teach them about LGBT culture, which is so self-aware that it actually has...
But, by the way, like, these people would do this in, like, a public park. Like, people who are into, like, pup stuff, like, yeah, they're comfortable doing it, like, outside of, like, a pride parade context. And there's nothing illegal about wearing, like, a weird mask. It's just kind of abnormal.
Bounce back into being totally oblivious. You see sex on display all throughout the culture. Kids are getting addicted to pornography. It's carpeted throughout social media, throughout all other forms of media, in their schools, everywhere. And they'll say, well, good, because kids need to be learning about sex at an early age, and they'd rather have it done by the degenerate American culture than by parents. Because if parents have control over their child's perception...
True, Lady Raincloud, true. Heaven forfend that somebody wears too many belts in public, okay? If any of the anti-kink at Pride people played Final Fantasy X, they'd die as soon as Lulu comes on screen, okay? That was a deep cut for all of you nerds.
...of sex, then they might actually...
Is he a tradcon? 100%. He's like a theocratic tradcon.
I don't know, instill some morality into it, and we can't have that because it makes the Coomers feel guilty. And here's the inversion of reality that we are experiencing less than 70 years after the sexual revolution, where the most intimate matter is now on full public display. Something...
What am I gonna tell my kids? I don't know, maybe have your, like, educate your kids on, like, healthy sexual relationships? Wait, the car he drives at the beginning has the UAW CIO on the side of the car. Are you kidding? That's the funniest shit.
This should be a private act, not because it's something to be ashamed of. That's what they say, because they're coping and seething at all times, but because it's something that was given to us as a way to create life and to express love and to bond to your wife or to your husband. It's special. There's significance to it. Now it's been reduced to just another sideshow. Everything that made it significant has been eroded. Now it's just basically like co-op masturbation. And this is what left-wing think.
Yeah, because no one in the past had sex just for fun. No one did that, ever.
Does. It accelerates the cultural entropy of society. Right-wing thinking tries to maintain stability and order against exactly that, because this is what always happens when left-wing thinking propagates, every time. Just think about how it started. Remember when they said, well, it's none of your business about what individuals do in the privacy of their own home. Isn't that right? And then people thought, okay, all right, fair enough. Just make sure it stays in the privacy of your own home. But it's never that simple.
Wait. John, the people in your picture are straight. It's a man fucking a woman. Why are you making this about gay people? Those are just straight people. Control your own folks, John. Or, yeah, probably straight. Maybe one of them's bi, statistically. John Doyle copes so hard, I have to imagine he's into some non-straight pornography, okay?
And it was never supposed to be. They've been rubbing your nose in it for the last few decades now, and now your kids are just gonna see it on the sidewalk. And what do they say? Mind your own
Yeah, the left has been rubbing your nose in all of this rampant sexuality. Also, notice that all of the tweets that he's shown, he's saying that there are so many of them, but he's only shown 3 tweets. He's shown 3 tweets, and he's reusing them in this segment.
business. Bro, it's in literal public. Mind your own business! And the reason for this is that immoral behavior cannot be contained. Think about it. There's no such thing as a private individual in their own home. That's still the same person. Same person who works with you, who takes care of your children, who makes your coffee, whatever. And if what they were doing weren't immoral, they probably wouldn't need to do it in the privacy of their own home, right? Like, well,
John, straight married people have sex in public too. There are lots of things that we do in the privacy of our own home that wouldn't be acceptable elsewhere. Like falling asleep. It's not socially acceptable to fall asleep on the street. People tend to look down on that. Or say, I don't know, cook a hot dish. You can't cook a hot dish on the street. People tend to look down on that. It's not the place you're supposed to be cooking a hot dish traditionally. There are a lot of things that we do in the privacies of our own home that wouldn't be acceptable in public, like watching anime or I don't know, playing Bayonetta. There are a lot of things that we do in the privacy of our own home that just we would never do in public because it would be embarrassing or just too cool. What's wrong with anime? You know what's wrong with anime. Bayonetta isn't degeneracy, Electric Meal. Bayonetta is aspirational, okay?
why are you saying sex between married couples is immoral? Ha! Checkmate. No, Coomer. It's just not for you. Not everything is for you to jerk off to. Believe it or not, I know that your entire life is centered around superfluously touching your own pee-pee and then constructing your politics as a series of rationalizations for that, but that's because...
I mean, that's kind of your position, though. Like, no one talks about masturbation in, like, conservative politics as much as John Doyle does. John, we were committing violence against the weebs on our Sabbath. Klingon Saris, I'll have you know that I spent a good chunk of Tuesday watching through an entire rom-com anime called Fuka, okay? So don't lecture me about what's acceptable to do to weebs.
Because you're a sick person. But a normal person, like, say they like flying kites. No one would really have a problem with that in public, I would imagine. But when you're into these really weird sexual fetishes...
Wait, but this is also an example of how there are inappropriate places to do some things, John. If you tried to fly a kite inside your friend's house, they would probably be pretty upset about that. Fuuka.
Yeah, people don't want to see that. And you know it's wrong, and it makes you feel guilty. And so now to cope with that, you literally have to enforce it on society to alleviate the natural guilt and shame that you feel for being a gay furry who does BDSM stuff. You try to normalize it in society because you're convinced that the only reason you feel shameful about it is because society's bullying you or whatever. So that's the problem.
Wait, but like gay people were literally arrested for being gay, John. Within living memory. Within living memory, people were arrested for being gay or straight up murdered for being gay, or murdered for being trans, or queer, or being perceived as such.
With the idea of private individuals, because they're not private,
Hey,
they're the
sport
same
of death.
person. And they don't want to just be acting in private. They don't want to just be individuals. They want everybody to have to witness their behavior in public. And that's why it's the parades, it's the holidays, it's the justification for crackhead breeding in public, it's everything. Even when the results of the slippery slope and the private individuals argument are on full display in public, where you and your children have to see it, you are told to just mind your own business. If this is where we are now compared to even 10 years ago, imagine where we're going to be 10 years from now, assuming that we don't change things. Just imagine. Speaking of thinking ahead, it's almost time to...
Dang, John. How do you want to change things, I wonder? I wonder how John Doyle wants to change society. I wonder what he would do. I wonder what he wants to have happen to all of these queers. Interesting that he never really talks about his societal prescriptions. He just points out things and tries to get people mad without actually suggesting what he wants to do. Interesting. Probably because he has ideas that might be a bit too spicy for YouTube.
start thinking about the holidays, and the first item on your list needs to be the iTarget Pro. This revolutionary system...
Avian Admiral, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And we're going to skip ahead.
Quite literally, the smartest way for you to important to make is that even if we assume that the people having sex weren't crackheads, which I don't know that they are, I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, like, I feel like that makes it a little bit more acceptable. Like, you can do anything and people will be like,
Yeah, I feel like it's actually not making it more acceptable. I feel like you're demonizing these people as crackheads when they might just be like a kinky couple.
hey, cut that out. But if someone's there like, come on, man, he's on crack. Well, I had no idea. I'm sorry. You know, it's a little different, but I don't think we need to pretend.
Well, no, I think if somebody told you that like these two people were high on crack and fucking in public, you'd want to mind your own business, okay? Because they might like fucking knife a bitch, all right?
That all the people defending this would all of a sudden have a huge problem with it if it turns out that it were two non-crackhead people just going at it in public, right? And even that implies that we're correct.
See a story, girl.
That it shouldn't be happening. Like, the reason that they are turned on by it is because they know that they shouldn't be doing it. These people are so perverted that it's not enough for them anymore to just put their hand in the cookie jar. They're like, no, I want to be caught doing it. I need you to watch me do it. And everything is so backwards these days that we actually have been blessed with a very useful metric for determining whether something is bad for people in society as a whole. And the metric is that basically anything that's being promoted in the mainstream culture is probably
he's projecting.
Terrible for your soul and for society. And sexual liberation is no different. And the reason for that is because it destabilizes and corrodes society, and it makes you
Yes. This picture of a gay in rainbow suspenders shaking that badass, okay, is gonna bring down society. Like, I have to say, again, if your society is so weak that a gay man shaking his ass is gonna destroy it, that either that ass is godlike levels of powerful, or your society should probably crumble already if that's the thing that's going to cause it to die. Hate and Whiskey, thank you for the follow.
you a slave to the system. This has been done before throughout history with very bad results, but left-wing people, because they're so narcissistic, they think that they're the first people to come up with this idea of sexual immorality because they view everything throughout history as linear, which is why they can pretend that we're making progress, when in actuality...
Yeah, time for from our perspective is relatively linear, John. That is actually how time functions. We are moving from one state to another in a line.
History is cyclical. It repeats itself. Time is a flat circle. And
no, it's not. Actually, that's just a dumb thing that conservatives think.
There's this great book that I've recommended before, and of course, you get the whole list of book recommendations on the website when you're a member, but it's called Sex and Culture, and it was written by a man named Dr. J.D. Unwin, and he analyzes 80 different nations and 6 different civilizations throughout history, and he examines all of their respective...
Oh, I think I went down a rabbit hole on this guy once. J.D. Unwin. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so basically the issue with this guy, I'm remembering how we covered it before. The issue with this guy is that J.D. Unwin had this view of the world where he and the book that John Doyle's recommending essentially is this study where J.D. Unwin like looked at primitive cultures and tribes around the world and then made a bunch of very broad generalizations on the course of human development on a societal level. And the basic critique of a lot of this stuff is that J.D. Unwin viewed primitives as being on like a time scale to being civilized, right? Which is not a correct way of viewing society and culture and cultural development. And like that's not how civilization works. And it's a very ethnocentric civilization because it views like your own society as being the gold standard of like societal development and undervalues societies that might just be very different and have different priorities than yours, right? So like, for example, in like the early 1900s when J.D. Unwin was writing and working, you know, a tribe in the Amazon rainforest might be viewed as very primitive, and therefore very unadvanced, unsophisticated, right? Whereas now, studies on these cultures and civilizations would actually find that they're relatively sophisticated and adapted and have complicated social systems and rituals and beliefs and ideas and rich cultural traditions and history. And it's not current anthropology, current ethnography is not about like ranking how advanced a society is or how advanced a civilization is, right? So it's actually kind of funny that John Doyle is recommending J.D. Unwin and criticizing the left for being too caught up in history as a straight line, because that's exactly how J.D. Unwin viewed social evolution, social development, societal development. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of J.D. Unwin. Also, how am I doing? I'm doing okay. I'm in my new spot. I'm adjusting to being in this new space. I'm organizing things. I'm getting things all set up. I'm having a really good time, you know? And tomorrow I'm gonna get my hair did. I'm gonna feel good. And I'm really, really excited for next week. I'm gonna be getting my new driver's license, because my driver's license for the last like fucking 6 years has had the same picture. It's had the same picture from 2015 or 2016. which you might recognize as being insufficient to actually identify me, which has become an increasing problem. So I'm very excited. And yeah, been a couple changes. Unwin believed that societies evolved from like primitive to civilized being like white Western society, you know? My driver's license pic literally has me in a beard. Spork of death. I mean, beards can be cute. I don't think John looks good in a beard. I also don't think beards look good on me.
Rises and falls, and he ranks them in 4 different categories based on how developed they were. And what he ended up finding was that the collapses of these societies were largely determined by the loosening of sexual conventions and the lessening of monogamous relationships. And through stricter sex conventions and abstinence, nations could channel their sexual energy into aggressive expansion, conquer less energetic countries, as well as successfully cultivate achievements in the arts and sciences. And that's the thing. Your sexual drive is your most powerful drive. But if you allow it to consume you, you'll lose sight of everything greater than yourself and the dopamine to which you're addicted. Which is why Dr. Unwin concluded that as societies develop, they become more sexually liberal, which diminishes the social entropy of the society, which is just a sociological term that sort of means the momentum or sustainability, along with its creative and expansive energy, or its capabilities to produce culture and gain power. Does that ring a bell? Does that sound familiar to you?
John Doyle thinks that culture has never been sexual. John, I encourage you to go to literally any museum, because I guarantee you're going to find art of naked people and probably a lot of art of people fucking, all right?
That is the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Western world. It is dying. We are dying because you have 2 options, essentially. You can either subject your desires to the truth, or you can subject the truth to your desires. And if you are governed by your desires, then everything in the world will be viewed through that lens.
Oh, also, One Hand Wonder, thank you for gifting a sub to Duvarian. That's super kind of you. And again, if you're a lurker, just whisper or at One Hand Wonder for a free subby.
And you won't ever be able to arrive at the truth because you're so clouded and distracted by your carnal desires. And if you can get a whole population like that, then you can get them to believe anything. And you can...
It's true. If you get your entire society to nut, they'll believe anything, okay? The post-nut clarity is a lie, okay? Post-nut clarity is actually post-nut confusion. You just don't know it.
Have total control over them, and that's where we're at now. So the question then becomes, how do we reconcile with these people? How do we come together under one flag with people who want your kids to be seeing this in public, or at least who don't care and think that you should just mind
it? It is pretty impressive that he has spent the past 12 minutes slowly twisting a random picture of 2 people having sex on the street into the left actually wants all kids to watch people fuck on the street.
Your own business. You know, we used to be able to say, we agree on the problems, we just have different solutions to the problems. Really? What's the problem here? That people can't have sex in public? We're approaching a very dangerous point in our history where the people are so divided and the culture and society are so unstable that we need this huge government to come in just to keep things from collapsing. But at the same time, that government is occupied by actors who are hostile to half of the people over whom they govern and who literally believe in the terrible ideas that lead to things like this, that create mentally ill people, that create homelessness, that create sexual degenerates, that destroy society. And then they tell you, hey, mind your own business, asshole. This is my business. The moral fabric of my country is my business. And our problem is that we're living through the consequences of people pretending that it wasn't for like 2 generations.
What would you miss? Oh, this theocratic fascist is just arguing that gay rights and trans people and not decriminalizing sodomy has led to people just fucking on the street, because he seems to be under the impression that people didn't fuck on the street in like the 1950s. What did he say creates homelessness? People fucking too much, okay? People nutting too much. And I'm not kidding. That is the distillation of his argument. He finished, and he's about to play a very terrible song.
Chances blown is dead by my merge, 'cause dead. He led our movement. He supported conservatism, but then he couldn't conserve his.
So for those of you who are confused about what he's singing, he's singing his George Floyd is Dead song. That's the joke on his channel. That he's in favor of George Floyd conservatives. Wait, the video's not even over. There's like 4 more minutes of this. What?
Chances blown is dead by my merge, 'cause dead. He led our movement. He supported conservatism, but then he couldn't conserve his body with the fentanyl and methamphetamine. How do you play it? How do you play it? Isn't it? I'm really getting a kick out of this, and I don't really care if you guys aren't, because you look now, you know, punk rock used to be anti-establishment. Now you look, all of these bands, I think even The Offspring, they fired their drummer for being like anti-lockdown or something. And it's like all these bands are now coming out and they're totally submissive to the system. And it's just so antithetical to everything that genre of music.
Yeah, I'm sure John Doyle has really nuanced opinions about punk rock music.
To you about, and explaining the joke is funny to me because it makes the joke not funny. So I get it's privatized benefits and socialized losses. It's just like the Federal Reserve. I get all the benefits because I laugh. You guys have to pay the price. But playing old like popular punk songs, or pop punk songs, I should say, so people don't get mad, and then just like doubling down and just full on, they've all been re-recorded to support George Floyd, who really is the most like emblematic symbol of the United States of America at this point. They're literally erecting statues in his honor. You know, at least the golden calf was aesthetically appealing. That's just.
There's literally a giant bronze bull outside of Wall Street, my dude. I don't know. At this point, John Doyle would see like a punk band being like pro-police and being like, that's real punk. Like, holy shit.
Very funny to me. Just, chances blown. Chances blown. Blown. It's dead. Buy my merch. 'Cause it's dead. Did you hear that dead? Buy my merch with a counterfeit 20.
This is like a child getting a hold of a tape, like a recording app for the first time, like a microphone recording app, but like getting their smartphone, figuring out there's a recording thing, and like just recording themselves saying like weird offensive things and giggling to themselves. But like instead of it being like a dumb thing that like a 10-year-old might do, he's doing that and then posting it on the internet. Also, a reminder, everybody, if you're lurking in chat, please just say in chat that you would like a free sub, because One Hand Wonder in chat is graciously giving away subs to anyone who's unsubbed in chat. You just have to let them know that you would like one.
I'll figure it out. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you're notified when I post. And then, of course, share the video with a friend, leave a comment, like the video.
Hey, Cosmic Anemone. And One Hand Wonder, thank you for gifting Cosmic Anemone a sub.
This song is called this song is about every city in the country after George Floyd died. It's called Stay Together for the Kids. Anyways, this isn't funny. Okay, now I'm not laughing anymore. Now I'm not having fun anymore, so I don't want to do it anymore. I'm rage quitting. Thank you so much for watching. May God bless America. Go get merch, because George Floyd's dead. That's not funny, by the way. It's not funny. I'm not laughing at that. It's funny because of why I just said. I slept weird last night. So now what I'm doing is just sitting here to see how long people will watch, because I have those statistics. I can look in the analytics and see how long people just watch. Just what's he gonna say? Is he gonna play another song? I'm just gonna sit here for 4 more minutes. Just kidding. I have to edit a video. This video. We're a little bit of a fourth wall break there, right? Anyways, thank you so much. These are just gonna get worse. These are literally just gonna get worse until 80% of the video is just the outro. I'm gonna have to stop this. I think it's just too much fun. It's just too much fun for me. I just say whatever I want. You know, I have to talk about topical things during the video. This is just draining just my brain of just nonsense.
It's draining all of our brains of everything of value. Anyway, that's John Doyle in a nutshell. It does hurt. It does hurt. It does hurt.